How Little Caesar Salvatore Maranzano created the American Mafia. Would the American Mafia as we know it even exist at all without Salvatore Maranzano? Salvatore Maranzano was an Italian-American urban mobster from Castellammare del Golfo, Sicily, and an early boss of Cosa Nostra who led what would later become the Bonanno crime family of New York City. He instigated the Castellammarese War in 1930 to seize control over the American Mafia, winning the war after murdering rival faction leader Joe Masseria in April 1931. He then briefly became the Mafia's capo di tutti capi, boss of all bosses, and founded the five families in New York City, but was assassinated on September 10, 1931, on orders of Charles Lucky Luciano, who made an agreement in which families shared power to prevent future turf wars. The Commission. In today's episode, let's discover how Little Caesar Salvatore Maranzano, the man who instigated the 1930 Castellammarese War, created the American Mafia. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on post notifications in order not to miss out on any of our subsequent videos. Let's get right into this. Early life. Salvatore Maranzano was the youngest of Domenico and Antonio Maranzano's 12 children. 5 of his siblings reached adulthood: Mariano, Angelo, Niccolo, Giuseppe, and Angelo. Salvatore Maranzano didn't dream of becoming a mafioso, let alone the head of the most powerful criminal organization in America, and the man who founded the American Mafia as we know it back when he was a little boy in Sicily. No, he apparently dreamed of moving on to someone of much older order of the Brethren, the Catholic priesthood. Instead, he rose to dizzying heights in New York underworld, where he tried to seize power and lead like his historical hero Julius Caesar. Maranzano admired the pagan emperor so much that he earned the nickname Little Caesar. Early career. But before this Little Caesar was able to even shape the American Mafia itself and crowning himself boss of all bosses, Salvatore Maranzano made his first name in crime at home in Sicily. Maranzano immigrated to the United States from Sicily in the 1920s and settled in Brooklyn. The Sicilian mafioso Don Vito Ferro decided to make a bid of control on mafia operations in the United States. From his base in Castellammare del Golfo, Maranzano was sent to take control. When he came to New York after World War I, prohibition was in full swing, and while building a legitimate business and a real estate agent, Maranzano also maintained a growing bootleg business, using the real estate company as a cover for his illegal businesses. He soon became involved in prostitution, gambling, and illegal drug smuggling. He also took a liking to a young Joseph Bonanno and became his mentor. He met up-and-coming fellow gangsters like the now infamous Charles Lucky Luciano, Boxy Shego, and Mayor Lansky. Luciano in particular once became an important figure when the Castellammarese War broke out in 1930. Castellammarese War. The war began when Salvatore Maranzano and fellow mobster Joe Masseria both sought to control of the New York underworld, with the various other gangsters taking sides with one of the two men. The war lasted until Luciano, then Masseria's right-hand man, betrayed his boss and had him killed in 1931. To protect the criminal empire that Maranzano has built, he declared war against his rival Joe Masseria, the boss of all bosses, which began in 1930, starting the Castellammarese War. In early 1931, Lucky Luciano decided to eliminate his boss Masseria. In a secret deal with Maranzano, Luciano agreed to engineer Masseria's death in exchange for receiving Masseria's racket and becoming Maranzano's second in command. On April 15th, Luciano invited Masseria and 2 other associates to lunch in a Coney Island restaurant. After they finished their meal, the gangsters decided playing cards, and at this point, according to mob legend, Luciano went to the bath. 4 gunmen, Vito Genovese, Albert Anastasia, Joe Adonis, and Benjamin Boxy Shegel, then went into the dining room and shot and killed Masseria. His body was found in a hollow of cards with the ace of spades in his right hand. With Maranzano's blessing, Luciano took over Masseria's gang and became Maranzano's lieutenant. Boss of all bosses. With Masseria gone, Maranzano reorganized the Italian-American gangs in New York City into 5 families led by Luciano, Joe, Profaci, Tommy Gogliano, Vincent Mangano, and himself. Every family would have a boss, underboss, capos, soldiers, and associates, and would be composed only of pure-breed Italian-Americans, while associates could come from any background. However, Maranzano called a meeting of crime bosses in Wappingers Falls, New York City, and declared himself capo dei capi, boss of all bosses. He even established a code of conduct for this newly formed confederation called La Cosa Nostra, our thing. Maranzano also reduced the rival family's racket in favor of his own. Luciano seemed to accept these changes, but just waited for his time before removing Maranzano. Although Maranzano was something more forward-thinking than Masseria, Luciano had come to believe Maranzano was even more greedy and ruthless than Masseria had been. Maranzano's intrigues, his arrogant treatment of himself and his subordinates, and his fondness for comparing his organization to the Roman Empire by attempting to model the organization after Caesar's military chain command did not sit well with Luciano and his ambitious friends, such as Vito Genovese, Frank Costello, and others. Despite his advocacy modern methods of organization, including crews of soldiers who do much of a family's illegal labor under the supervision of a capo regime, at heart Maranzano was a mustache-pate, an old-school mafioso steeped in the ways of the old world. He was against Luciano's partnership with Jewish gangsters like Meir Lansky and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. All along, Luciano and his colleagues had planned to bide their time before getting rid of Maranzano. Death. But despite its historical overhauls and innovations, Salvatore Maranzano's tenure as boss was short-lived. Within 5 months of his rise, Luciano pulled a Brutus on Maranzano, the wannabe Caesar, by hiring assassins to storm Maranzano's office on Polk Avenue and shoot and stab the boss to death. Here's how it happened. In September 1931, Maranzano realized that Luciano was a threat and hired Vincent Mad Dog Cole, an Irish gangster, to kill him. However, Tommy Luchese alerted Luciano that he was marked for death. On September 10th, Maranzano ordered Luciano and Genovese to come to his office in the New York Central Building, now the Hemsley Building at 230 Park Avenue in Manhattan. Convinced that this is what Maranzano had to plan to murder them, Luciano decided to act first. He sent to Maranzano's office 4 Jewish gangsters whose faces were known to Maranzano's people. They had been secured with the help of Lansky and Siegel. Disguised as government agents, 2 of the gangsters disarmed 2 of Maranzano's bodyguards. The other 2, aided by Lucius, who was there to point Maranzano out, stabbed the boss several times before shooting him dead. This assassination was the first of what later came to be known as the Night of the Sicilian Vespers. Although there would have been few objections if Luciano had chosen to declare himself capo di tutti capi, he rather abolished the title, believing that the position created trouble among the families and would make himself a target for another ambitious challenger. Luciano then created the Commission as the governing body for organized crime. Maranzano is buried in St. John's Cemetery in Queens, New York, near Luciano's tomb. Like his beloved Caesar, Salvatore Maranzano's reign and his life ended in a shower of blades brought forth by the betrayal of one of his own. And also like Caesar, Salvatore Maranzano forever changed the landscape of his corner of the world, and his story became the stuff of legend. That brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. That was the story of little Caesar Salvatore Maranzano, the man who created the infamous American Mafia. Would like to know in the comment section what you think about this man, and if you think there are more prominent gangsters we should have mentioned. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel and turn on post notifications so not to miss out on any of our future uploads. See you in the next one.